The slap echoed through first class like a starter pistol, freezing every glass of champagne Madeira. Brenda Walsh, in her crisp flight attendant uniform, looked Leo Van Sien, 8-year-old kid dead in the eye, convinced she was untouchable. What she missed was the fact that Leo's dad, Elias Vance, had already dialed the highest level of airline brass. That moment of humiliation, the crack of a grown woman's hand against a kid's face, was supposed to be the end of it, a quiet flex of power. But that slap would become the spark that burned down her whole career and start a reckoning that would rattle the walls of privilege itself. The day had started out so differently. Elias, first black trillionaire in America, wasn't flying private this time. He wanted his kids to remember how regular life felt. Leo was pure kinetic energy, bouncing down the jet bridge with a new Cosmic Ranger toy. His big sister Nana already walking with the kind of poise most adults would kill for. Brenda's smile dropped the second she saw them, eyes narrowed, scanning their designer luggage with something colder than suspicion. Coach boarding's in the back. She snapped, not even bothering to look at their tickets. Elias held up 3 first-class boarding passes. Brenda snatched them, checked, then grudgingly waved them through with a muttered, "Unbelievable. They'll let anyone up here with credit card points now." Settling into their seats, Leo whispered, "Daddy, why was that lady so mean?" Elias just shrugged. Some folks can't see past the cover of a book, no matter how glossy it is. That quiet hurt never really goes away, no matter how much money you make. Even after building an empire, Elias still had to fight for respect, one cold stare at a time. Pre-flight, Brenda made a show of serving the white businessmen across the aisle, popping champagne for them, treating them like royalty. When she finally turned to the Van Cess, her tone could have curdled milk. Leo, always polite, asked for apple juice. Brenda rolled her eyes, muttering to her co-worker Kevin loud enough for everyone to hear, "These people always want something extra. Just wait. They'll ask for the whole cart." Nana squeezed her father's hand, knowing something ugly was in the air. Then came the accident. Brenda handed Leo his drink and dumped ice-cold water all over Elias's lap and his $6,000 suit, blaming Leo for grabbing at things. When Elias calmly pressed the call button, Kevin showed up and brushed it off. "Accidents happen. Maybe you're just being sensitive." It was all a little too practiced, a little too unified, and all too familiar for Elias. As the flight climbed, Leo whimpered, holding his ears. He had a diagnosed ear problem. Elias reached for the drops, but Brenda's voice sliced through the hum of the plane. "That child needs to quiet down. This is first class, not a daycare." Across the aisle, a white toddler screamed even louder, and Brenda cooed at him, offered a lollipop. The contrast was a neon sign. Nana, braver than her years, stood up and said, "Excuse me, my brother has a medical condition." Brenda shoved her back into her seat and hissed, "Your kind needs to learn respect. Stay in your place." Elias started recording. Nearby, most passengers looked away, except Oni, retired teacher, Eleanor Parsons, who spoke up, demanding Brenda's name. Brenda doubled down, threatening to serve Eleanor last for getting involved. Even something as simple as a bathroom break became a battlefield. Brenda refused to let Leo up, citing turbulence. Seconds later, a white kid walked right by her to the restroom with a wink and a smile. When Elias finally stood, towering, and demanded names and IDs, Brenda threatened to call security on him. Elias, never rattled, quietly kept gathering evidence, each slight becoming another entry in a mental ledger. The meal service was a new insult. Brenda told the Van Cess, "We're out of beef," even after serving the last row the exact meal. Leo's chicken was cold. Nana's vegetarian dish was missing half the ingredients, and Elias's meal was a mess. Leo saw the dessert card and asked for cake. Brenda snapped, "No dessert for children's meals." When Leo pointed to another kid enjoying cake, Brenda smacked his hand away, leaving a red welt. The cabin fell silent. Leo didn't cry, just whispered, "You hurt me." Maybe it was the dignity in that, or the gathering stares. But Brenda lost it. She slapped Leo's face. That was the line. Elias, still calm, called the chairman of the airline. "I need you to speak to Sterling now. I have everything on video." Brenda scoffed, thinking he was bluffing. Minutes later, the captain's voice crackled over the intercom. Unscheduled landing in Denver. Brenda fumed. "You happy now? Inconveniencing 400 people over your petty complaints?" "No, MS. Walsh," Elias replied. "This is on you." When Brenda demanded he hand over his phone, an aviation attorney across the aisle piped up, "Passengers have every right to record." Then, every phone in the galley rang at once. Brenda's face drained as she was summoned by name. By the time they landed, a whole row of airline execs and security waited. Brenda tried one last desperate play, accusing Elias of harassment, but the VP of in-flight services ordered the entire crew off the plane, pending investigation. Passengers sat in stunned silence as Brenda shrieked, "Reverse racism." While security walked her out, a new crew arrived with fresh meals and apologies. But the Van Cess knew this wasn't over. In the terminal, Brenda broke from security, pounded the glass, and hurled slurs at the family as cameras rolled. Her meltdown went viral. By nightfall, Brenda's name was a hashtag, her tirade a global scandal. The airline fired her and the entire crew for standing by. But the backlash was only starting. Soon, Brenda appeared on TV, crying, spinning a story about being a victim of woke mobs and reverse racism. Her legal fund swelled, pushed by coordinated bots and rival corporate interests, many with direct ties to Elias's business competitors. Suddenly, contracts started evaporating, school administrators grew cold, and the Vance kids were harassed by classmates parroting their parents' hate. It was a targeted, systemic attack designed to isolate the family and rewrite the narrative. But Elias, ever the strategist, countered with cold, precise moves. He released unedited, multi-angle videos, exposed Brenda's long record of bias, and traced the financial web backing her campaign right back to the rival corporations and their lawyers. When leaked emails revealed the real Motivisa plan to put Vance back in his place, the public tide turned. Political supporters abandoned Brenda. Donors fled, and the truth crashed through the noise. But the cost was real. Leo, traumatized, bullied, and broken by the hate, forced Elias to realize this was bigger than him or even his company. It was about the system itself, a system desperate to punish anyone who challenged its order, especially a black man at the very top. So Elias did what he always did, strategized. He began digging even deeper, assembling a war room, determined not just to defend his family, but to pull the whole rotten structure into the light. If you think this story ends here, you haven't been paying attention. If you believe every person deserves dignity, if you want to see what happens when someone finally stands up and says enough, drop a comment. Hit subscribe and stay tuned. This fight is just getting started.